Before I begin today's video, I just want to address a situation, a very serious situation that has been brought to light in the past day or two. For those who might be living under a rock, there has been a group of people that have decided to make very disrespectful and very racist comments towards Moses Ingram, the actress who plays Reva. I want to make it very, very clear that I do not condone this type of action at all. I believe that there is no room for it whatsoever in this world. I also don't condone people going out and disrespecting actors and bullying actors for simply doing their jobs. And this is something that isn't the first time that this has happened. This has happened with other people like Ahmed Best, like Kelly Marie Tran, just to name a few. I do not condone this stuff at all. And I even made that clear in the last video, the last Kenobi discussion video that we did. I do not condone these actions. And I do believe that this is a very small group of people. It is not the vast majority. It is a small group of people that have decided to be hateful. And I know that Star Wars fans are better than this. All right, I've seen it. I know Star Wars fans are better than this. So once again, I would like to reiterate that I do not condone any of that which has gone down in the past 24, 48 hours. Now, to also turn my head to Lucasfilm. Yesterday on their Facebook page, and I think it's been posted on Instagram as well, Star Wars posted this. There are more than 20 million sentient species in the Star Wars galaxy. Don't choose to be a racist. We are proud to welcome Moses Ingram to the Star Wars family and excited for Reva's story to unfold. If anyone intends to make her feel in any way unwelcome, we only have one thing to say. We resist. Maybe I'm reading too much into those comments, but to me, what it sounds like Lucasfilm in their quotes is saying that if you don't like the character of Reva, that makes you a racist. Like, what? That's the direction we're going in now, Lucasfilm? That people can't have opinions about characters? We can't choose to not like someone because we don't understand their character or we don't like certain aspects of that character? I made it very clear in my video last week that I just did not like the character of Reva. There were several things that did not make sense to me. And this episode, this coming episode, didn't really do much better. But for a company who it feels like can't handle criticism, decides to sort of deflect it towards us and go, oh, well, if you don't like that character, that makes you a racist. That's not right either. Going after people who are just here to watch Star Wars, who have opinions about characters, what are you doing? Lucasfilm's saying don't be a racist. That I agree with. But to then go, well, if you don't like the character of Reva, then we resist you. Like, that to me sounds like the good old corporate spin on the situation to try and make others feel bad who have done nothing wrong. For those that watch my channel, you guys know how much I love Ahsoka Tano, but do you guys ever hear me saying, well, if you don't like Ahsoka Tano, then you're not a Star Wars fan? No, I never say that because people have different opinions about things, okay? Like, especially when it comes to characters. I love the character of Ahsoka Tano, but I also am willing to believe that there are people out there who don't like her character. Or, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are, massive Rey fans. I think Rey's okay, but I don't think she's like the greatest or anything like that. But see, that's opinions. People are allowed to have opinions and talk about things like this. I've made it clear since day one on this channel. If I like something, I'm going to tell you guys that I like it. If I don't like something, I'm going to tell you guys that I don't like it. And that's never going to change. If Lucasfilm is going to get mad over innocent people having opinions about Star Wars, then whatever. I guess that's just the way they think then. If they don't want to like me for having an opinion, then that's up to them. And with that, you guys, let's get into today's video. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and today we are here to talk about Kenobi Part 3. But before we do that, make sure you guys like and subscribe. If this is your first time watching, I'm someone who likes to do a lot of reaction videos to fan-made Star Wars content, such as fan films and tribute videos. I also like to do a lot of discussions on the latest episodes of Disney Plus as well, such as what we're doing here today. So make sure you guys subscribe. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps to support my channel. Thanks, guys. We got a lot to talk about with this episode today, but I kind of want to break it down into like three subsections, if you will, for like the main discussion points that I want to have today. The first of which is sort of the reveal that Obi-Wan has a brother, which is pretty crazy, right? Like, he says that he remembers his father's hands, he remembers his mother a little bit, but he also remembers a baby, reference to a brother. Could you imagine if, like, by the end of this series, we get to see Obi-Wan reunite with his brother? I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think it is, like, a nice little, like, callback to, like, I guess Obi-Wan's backstory, right? And then he talks about having a new family with the Jedi, but now, of course, that's all gone, so it's just like, poor Obi-Wan losing all his freaking families, you know? Also, I want to give a shout out to the actress who's playing Leia. They did an incredible job casting young Leia, because this little girl is nailing it. Next big discussion point that I want to have, I mean, I don't know if it's anything major, just a little someone named Quinlan Vos is still kicking. Obi-Wan and Leia are rescued by this person who takes them into the city, and they take them to like their little like hideout area. And it's a place where they've helped Jedi and just other people get to safety in the past. And there's writings on the wall from people who have been there, and Quinlan was one of them. Now, granted, I don't know if it's a smart idea to have writings on the wall when Imperials could just walk in or Inquisitors could walk in and see that, but that's aside from the point. The big question is, are we going to get to see Quinlan Vos in this series, this Kenobi series? I have a feeling that we're going to see Qui-Gon, right? Because this is now, we've seen it now twice in this series where Obi-Wan is trying to communicate with Qui-Gon and it's not working. So I think by the end of the series, it will work. But as far as Quinlan, who knows? It could have been just a reference. It could have that he's still alive. It could be a tease that he's going to show up in this series. I could totally see Quinlan showing up and then getting killed off by Vader. And this would be our first glimpse of Quinlan Vos in live action since Phantom Menace, in like the one scene that we see him in, like his cameo, right? And apart from that, we really haven't gotten many more on-screen stories from Quinlan Vos. The only other one that I can think of is the episode in Clone Wars where he and Obi-Wan went to go capture Zero the Hutt, and then they got into an encounter with Cad Bane. I will say, though, Quinlan Vos is like the main character in one of my favorite Star Wars novels of all time called Dark Disciple. It's a story that takes place in the Clone Wars where he and Asajj Ventress have to team up to take out Count Dooku, or attempt to anyway. And then we get to probably like the best part of this freaking episode, and that's the stuff with Vader. We first get Vader talking with the third sister, and they're basically both just like, screw the Grand Inquisitor, which I'm still not over. And this episode, if anything, made me even more frustrated about that moment. Like, just talk about complete burial of the Grand Inquisitor. They need to do something drastic to redeem this guy by the end of the show. From the moment Vader showed up on that planet, and I forget the name of it, I think I wrote it down, Mapuzo, it's a mining planet, I believe. The minute that you see him, and the shots that they did for this were brilliant, where like they started behind with the cape, they cut to the feet, and then it just like slowly pans up to where you see his face. Like, oh, there's such a great reveal. From that moment to the end of the episode, I was just holding my breath the entire time. Like, every time, I feel like every time that Vader shows up on screen, whether it's been in Rebels, Jedi Fallen Order, Rogue One, or this, I've always held my breath because I know that Vader has that presence and I know how big of a threat he is and how dangerous he is. The moment when the music cut, I was like, oh shoot, he senses him. But then he force pulls one of the citizens, right? And I'm sitting there thinking like, oh shit, he's trying to draw Kenobi out of hiding. He's trying to get him to step out, right? Obi-Wan doesn't end up doing it right away, but he does tell Leia to go through the tunnel. He'll be right behind her, which how many times have I heard that before? I'll be right behind you, and then they don't go behind them. So I definitely knew in that moment that Obi-Wan was gonna try and stall Vader or just buy time for Leia to escape. Which, like, in that moment, like, even though I know what happens, I also am willing to accept whatever happens here in this moment because it's like, okay, I realize that at this point, Luke and Leia are like the two biggest threats to Vader and Palpatine. So if Obi-Wan has to go and sacrifice himself so those two can live, then it's worth it. Whatever Obi-Wan has to do next, it has to be worth it. When Obi-Wan was running around and all of a sudden you just see Vader's lightsaber activate, I was going crazy. And then you have the part where Obi-Wan, like, he looks like he's about to activate his lightsaber, but then he runs. But then he has to activate it anyway because you hear Vader's voice being like, you cannot run, Kenobi. I loved the line where Obi-Wan's like, what have you become? And Vader goes, I am what you made me. And I'm just like, oh shit. Eventually they do have a little bit of a lightsaber fight, which was pretty cool. It felt very much like Vader wasn't going full throttle in this moment. It very much seemed like he was trying to make Obi-Wan suffer, make him afraid of what he's become. Vader essentially tells Obi-Wan as well, the years have made you weak. But then in like one of the scariest moments of the episode, first off, he force throws the glass or whatever down on the ground. And then he force chokes Obi-Wan. And then he takes his lightsaber over to the glass and it lights on fire. And then he says, now you will suffer, Obi-Wan. And I love that they had James Earl Jones doing the voice too, because like it sounded a lot like a New Hope Vader, especially when he said Obi-Wan's name as well. And he forces him into the fire. And it's just like a crazy bit of revenge for Vader, right? Because Obi-Wan, he cuts Vader in half. And he falls he falls close to the lava and he lights on fire. Now it's the other way around where Obi-Wan's the one who's been lit on fire. And now that I think about it, doesn't it Obi-Wan's Jedi robe in A New Hope look like it's been burnt a little bit? Like, I'd have to go back and look at a picture, but like, if it is, now it makes perfect sense. Now, one criticism that I do have that happened at the end of this episode was when Vader puts out, like, he force pushes Obi-Wan out of the fire goes out. And there's a bunch of stormtroopers that have now arrived on the scene too. Vader says, bring him to me. And a trooper walks towards Obi-Wan. But then the girl that's been helping them, I believe her name is Tarla, ends up shooting the stormtrooper. And so all the stormtroopers are like, oh, wait, where did that come from? And they're all sitting there waiting. And then Tarla shoots like whatever structure is there, and it relights the glass back on fire, and this time it looks even bigger, right? But then at the same time, I do have the criticism of, well, why didn't Vader just like force push the fire away, like we see in the freaking Micro series, right? Like Asajj Ventress, there's just this moment where she's walking through fire and she pushes it away. Like, it was such a cool moment, and Vader literally just force pushed the fire out before. Like, why couldn't he do it there? Now, I guess you could maybe make the argument of he wants to make Obi-Wan suffer, right? Because that's what he says, your suffering has only begun. So maybe this was just a time where it's like, all right, I'm not going to kill you, but I am going to make you suffer and I'm going to make you afraid of me. But then at the same time, why risk Obi-Wan getting away again? Like, it's been 10 years since you've seen him. You finally caught up to him. And now you're just going to let him get away again? Like, I don't know. That part, maybe that'll be explained in the next episode, but that is like the one criticism that I had. And then the episode ends with Reva pretty much capturing Leia, and I'm like, no, don't end there. It's going to be very interesting to see like if Leia gets away or like if she has an interaction with Vader. Because I know people are saying like, well, Vader can't find out that Leia is his daughter and stuff, but like, Leia and Vader had an interaction in A New Hope. So they can still have an interaction with each other without Vader figuring it out. And honestly, I think if anything, Vader could even be mad at Reva because, you know, they had mentioned in the previous episode, right? Like, you went and captured a daughter of an Imperial senator. Like, that's not gonna look good. So maybe Vader's gonna have the same sentiment where he's like, you need to, like, give this girl back to her family, otherwise it's gonna look bad on us. But I don't know. We have to see where it goes, you guys, and I am very excited to see where this story goes from here. We still got 3 episodes yet, so very excited to see where we go. That's gonna wrap us up for today, you guys. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video around to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
Like a panther. Yes?